Hey, and welcome to another edition of Inside Board Games. I'm Jason, and today I'm talking to Dan Linden, and we're talking about offshoots. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. Where are you speaking to me from today?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Okay, so is it nice out there? How's the weather out there? Are you
Yeah,
affected by any fires or?
summer in Seattle is why everybody lives out here in Seattle. So it's the perfect time of year.
I thought that Seattle was always rainy.
That's the impression a lot of people have, but about from early July through the end of September, it like never rains. It's just the perfect 75 to 80 degree sunshine every single day.
Oh, nice.
But don't tell anybody because it's
I know it,
already crowded enough out
yeah, it's our secret because you want to perpetuate the myth that it's always raining there in Seattle.
For sure.
Um, your um, so your game Offshoots. What is your role with this? Now, I checked your website and I did not see like the long list of credits of a whole bunch of people that are doing stuff.
Yeah, the game was 100% designed, thought up, produced, published, everything from the very idea through to almost all of the box art, all done by me. Um, I had a box designer clean up some stuff with my final box, but other than
Okay.
that, I have done everything with this project.
Well, congratulations to you for doing all that. I mean, it's a lot of work to get something done, even as part of a small team. I talked to a lot of designers that have, small to mid-sized teams, and it's still it's a lot. It's a lot.
Mhm.
And to do it all by yourself, that's very commendable for sure. What is your background? Now we met at Origins, and you told me that you were into uh it was toy design.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been a toy designer my entire career. It's a pretty small esoteric company,
Okay.
but we do souvenirs for theme parks and we make
Oh,
toys that are sort of like amusement park related. So think if you rode your favorite roller coaster and you're going through the gift shop afterwards, we make little like roller coaster models you can put together and take home. And it's actually a pretty collectible item that
yeah.
has a lot of success in that industry. But then we also do like a Lego compatible roller coaster system that we make all the
Really?
parts. So I've been in the toy industry for a very, very long time, for 16 years now. So I have a
Okay.
good handle on how to design things, produce things, made overseas, find suppliers, things like that. But I have never once worked in the game industry. This is brand new to me.
Okay. I don't know. We could do a whole episode just talking about the toys. As soon as you said Lego, that really piqued my interest. But focusing on your game, um, it's sort of a dexterity game, and it almost does it sort of blur the line between toy and game? I mean, it's not just like a flat board with cards and pieces. I mean, it's like I said, it's a dexterity game, so it's a really hands-on. It's almost like a group toy, sort of.
Well, what's funny about that is a lot of people ask how you came up with this or how I came up with this idea.
That was
And
that was my next question.
and I've been working on this project for 2 years now, well, 2.5 years now. So
Okay.
it was January. I was in Ohio. It's cold and dark, and there's no sense in going anywhere or doing anything. So I was just kind of goofing around over a weekend with some ideas in my head, and I thought, man, I wonder if you could make like a construction toy where you could take pieces and build a bridge. I have a mechanical engineering background. I find
Okay.
bridges kind of fascinating. So I thought, oh, I could make one single piece that could be used to create a bridge or a tower or something
Hmm.
sort of mechanical in a way. And that's how I came up with the concept for this like dog bone shaped piece. And
Okay.
originally, once both sides had 4 slots on it, and it was just this symmetrical dog bone, and you could build them all together. And at the time, I had access to a laser cutter very easily, so I could go prototype that part like the next day
Oh, nice.
to see, oh, how do these parts fit together and what's it look like? And as I started putting the pieces together, I was like, this is kind of looks like a branch in some way, the way they kind of weirdly connect and like move outwards in a way.
Yeah, sort of in some not random directions, but varied directions. A lot of different
It's
paths that they can go.
it's varied in oddly geometrics in a way that I'd never seen, a constructions toy put together.
Mm,
So I'd say the very nugget of the idea came from my toy background going, I want to create a construction toy where I make, because like in the toy industry, for you to bring your price down, it's
mm.
beneficial to have one piece made a billion times.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
thought, oh, what a perfect construction toy, one single piece that you make, 3 million of, and
Yeah.
it's affordable for everybody. But as the project went on over the next few months, it became obvious to me that like this is something that looked like a branch, and a
Mm.
branch needed a tree trunk to build the branches off of. So it kind
Sure.
of morphed into this thing, which I don't, I guess initially I did consider it a game because the very first iteration of it had a square base and you would try to make it fall towards one of four players. So I would
Oh, okay.
add leaves to your side to try to get it to fall your direction.
Okay.
Uh, it did move quickly into game world, but it did start as a construction toy. And maybe that's what makes it a little unique is I don't have no background in games. I don't have any concept of rule books or
Okay.
dice or anything like that. It just came out of more of a toy perspective than a game perspective.
Yeah, well, the hands-on aspect is great. There's a lot of fun games that there's even board games that have like well, you have to throw the dice behind your back or something like that,
Mhm.
which, makes it a little more fun. But this one is we played a little bit at Origins, and it's just at the same time, it's like relaxing and soothing, but yet it's also a little bit tense when you're putting that piece on, whether
Mhm.
it's gonna fall or not. And it was very social because we were just sort of chatting as we were playing. It's almost like, you're using different parts of your brain to play the game and to socialize with other people while you're playing the game.
And that's definitely something I noticed very early in the design process. I have a couple friends back in Ohio that
Hmm.
love playing party games.
Okay.
They do it maybe 2, 3 times a month with other groups of friends they have. And they have this bar top table in their kitchen. And we would play this game and we would drink a beer and we talk to each other. Because part of what's cool about it is
Oh, there we go.
you can see through it as you play it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as we all stand around it, you're actually looking at each other as much as you're looking at the game. And it does elicit this weirdly social aspect that I don't think I've ever seen in a game because you're right. You're playing it, but your mind doesn't have to be 100% focused on this one little thing. In fact, for
Right.
a lot of the game, as you're adding these leaves and the tree's growing, it's not as hyper important that you put the leaf in the exact right spot. Whereas once it's very tall, maybe people stop talking so much because every
Right.
turn really matters. But for the first half of the game, you're just kind of building this really cool tree while essentially looking at all your friends.
The game is a beautiful game, and it has a very distinctive table presence. Table presence is something that, sometimes talked about in board games. And I mean, this has it. You could leave the game up on the table after you're done, and it would be an interesting like piece of conversational art. Uh, the next day, which is fascinating, and that's something that's always fascinated me about games and game designers. When I think of designing a game, and if I sit down and I'm like, I've been playing games for a long time. Let's design a game. It's not too long before my rule book is 30 pages long, and there's 300 pieces, and other stuff. It's the simple game that draws you in and keeps you and has an eloquent simplicity that I think is so hard.
Hmm.
And this game really nails that. Really,
Hmm.
really nails it well. Uh,
Thanks.
so it went through many iterations. Talk me through some of those iterations. I know you said that it started as a like a bridge construction.
Hmm.
Um, is it now where you kind of foresaw it to be then, or is it completely different than what you originally, had in mind in earlier iterations?
I think it ended up better than where I imagined it going. The
Okay.
original version, as I mentioned earlier, you had like a square base that could only fall four different ways,
Hmm.
and it was supposed to be a little bit more of a competition, who can beat somebody else or whatever.
Hmm.
And I like that it turned out a little more simple. It's just straightforward. In fact, when I take it to shows like Origins, a lot of people who play it think there must be more. Well, there's more rules than this, right? But I like that all the rules fit on the back of the box. It's like just
Yeah.
super simple to learn, super easy to play. In fact, you don't even necessarily have to play it as a competition at all. Like you said, you can just build this cool, beautiful tree. That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons it's 1 to 12 players because people just like building something cool by themselves, which I guess technically that would be a toy at that point if you were just
Right.
sitting alone building a cool geometric tree. But I don't care how you play it as long as you're having fun with it.
That's up
And
to 12
the
players.
well, it's technically up to 75 players because there's 75 leaves, but that wouldn't be super fun to have one turn per person. But
Right.
yeah, I grew up playing Jenga with my family. That's
Okay.
probably the only true game I played consistently in my life is Jenga. So maybe that's probably a huge reason why um, I ended up just doing something that is that level of simple. I mean, it's a similar type of game as well, though I don't
Yeah.
think when I was developing it, I really had any intention to create a Jenga type game. It just sort of ended up that way.
Well, it's sort of the opposite of Jenga. I was gonna mention Jenga, but I don't like to mention games when I'm talking to designers about their game because I don't want to say something like, "Oh, your game is just like this." Uh,
Yeah.
but Jenga, I was thinking about it, and it's sort of different because on yours you're building up, and in Jenga you're sort of, well, you're moving, yeah, a little bit. But yours is so
I
much,
say it's like Jenga only because people associate the ease of the instructions and the rules
yeah,
with Jenga. It's like it's simple. This is all we're doing. There's no dice, there's nothing else. There's no strategy other than, I mean, balance is the strategy, but I think especially in a at a show like Origins where you have a lot of heavy gamers,
hmm
uh, they're kind of expecting there to be more, but when they hear, oh, it's think of it like Jenga, we're just going to take turns playing this game and it's going to fall over. It just
yeah,
allows them to get right into it a little faster. But I agree, it doesn't look like Jenga.
mhm.
I've had people kind of say this is a little bit more fun than Jenga because it creates this visually pleasing
Yeah,
thing as you're building. In fact, the bigger the tree gets, I feel like the less people want to keep playing as a competition because they've created this really beautiful work of art almost, and
yeah.
they don't want it to fall anymore.
So it becomes like almost like a cooperative. Hey, let's make the nicest looking tree.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean the comparisons sort of stop with like the simple gameplay. It is very very much different. It is much prettier, um, and it's um, I just like the mechanism of the sort of the crescent wrench sort of like shaped pieces that go on, and that it does go off into so many different directions, and you know you can push the limits of physics maybe a little bit more, I think, or all right, physics, you can't change physics, but our normal people's perception of physics, you can probably stretch out a branch a little bit farther than you might think.
People
And
are always I'm continually impressed at what people can do because it's not so obvious what the center of gravity is because it has this really weird geometric shape to it.
right. I mean,
So
people
you
assume that
can
it's at the base of the trunk, but that's
right, but you
not.
might have something going all the way out this way and then just a big clump over here and your mind is going, this cannot be it cannot possibly be balanced.
Yeah.
But physics is physics. That center of gravity is somewhere hovering above the base, so it stays. And I mean, it's one of my favorite parts of this game is it seems to baffle and intrigue kids and adults.
Hmm.
Kids don't maybe think about the center of gravity or whatever, but they do see
Yeah.
this huge, weird looking tree and how does it stay up? Whereas adults like us are sitting there going like, okay, how is this staying up? Like, really, how is it staying up? So, it seems to attract so many different age groups in the same type of way.
Yeah. When did this, how long has this game been out?
So, do you want the long story or the short story?
It's up to you. The,
Okay, I'll
the
give you
interesting
the medium
story.
story. It
Okay.
came out last year at Origins as a game called Timber,
Okay.
and then but it was really just like a first try. I made 250 of them just to see what people thought. Did a pre-sale at Origins, and then I had to go find like a little bit better of a supplier, blah blah blah. So it was officially released as Branch Out in January of this year. Then came to find out, Branch Out had a trademark issue,
Uh,
so I had to change the name to Offshoots, which was in March of this year. So since
okay.
March, it's officially Offshoots. It's been kind of the same game the whole time, just with varying levels of the quality of parts. But as
Mhm.
of March, it's like this is what the game's going to be. So it's very new still.
Yeah, we did a good job of renaming after, it sort of must have been deflating. This is going to be the name, branch out. But then,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, Offshoots is great. It's a little bit more, it's a little more dynamic sounding, I guess. That worked out well.
And the other nice thing is when it was Branch Out, the box I had, like I said, I had designed a box myself, was really not good. And having to change the name, I had to update the box,
Hmm.
update the logo. And what came out was like it's night and day, the difference between the old box and the new one. And it looks so much better. So, I'm kind of happy I had to make that change anyway, because it resulted in a better product in the end.
Gotcha. So you have a couple versions of this game. You have the original and then the all-American version. Tell me a little
Mhm.
bit about I guess the reasoning for the two, although I might guess the
Yeah.
reasoning.
I think yeah. Well, in April, when tariffs from China were 145%,
Hmm.
I told myself, I'm going to be the one to have a solution to anybody who, I mean, the whole industry is kind of well, especially back then was in disarray. Like, is this industry, including the toy industry that I'm involved in, going to exist six
Yeah.
months from now? And I have lasers through the toy company down in
Hmm.
Virginia that have like 5 heads on them. So they can cut unbelievable amounts of a single piece.
Okay.
So I knew I had a solution to make a made in America product for not that much more money than what the made in China one was. The downside is, and here's a kind of up close,
Yeah.
doesn't have printing on it. It's just it's essentially birch plywood with green paint on it. It
Hmm.
still plays the same. It looks really
Sure.
cool, just like the full Chinese version of the game. It's just, to me, it feels a little bit more like a prototype. But I needed to have an answer to if these tariffs are going to be unworkable.
Yeah.
And the other challenge is you have a new game, and I think other game companies are going to raise their prices to account for the tariffs, which is kind of what you have to do. But when you have something new, and I'm self-publishing, I can't just raise my price $10 or else people aren't going to give it a shot. So I wanted to have something that wasn't as extreme of a change price-wise, but was still the essence of the game. So that's why I have that Made in America one, which isn't super relevant right now because the tariffs aren't 145%, but they might
Mhm.
be a month from now. So I have that in my back pocket.
Yeah. I think that is monumentally significant, because you get the impression that there is no board game US manufacturing at all. Yeah, I hear a lot of game designers that say, "Oh, I would, design in the US if I could, but I just can't." And I think that, you are proof positive that you can, at least in this instance. And I think that it's even if the tariffs aren't as big as they were back in April, no one knows where they're going to go. And I think that we have to start somewhere with establishing a domestic manufacturing base. I mean, in general, but with board games too. So and if you could do it, someone else should be able to do it, or because if that five-headed laser, can cut the piece that you're using, they should be able to cut pieces for other game designs also.
They can. I think the downside is the printing part of it. Like
Mhm.
I've looked at how to get this part made one-to-one copy, and it's so the Made in America version is $35, whereas the Made in China version is 30
Okay.
currently with the way tariffs are now. Um, to make this printed piece and the whole product with a box and everything
Hmm.
here in America, it would be, north of 60 or $70 to do a
Yeah.
one-to-one American version. So, yes, I can make this part, but it's not going to be the same quality. And that's where I wonder, I'm sure there are games that have similar parts to that, yeah, for sure, if it's just laser cutting, you can do that here. There's a million laser cutting companies out there. But when you start to get into multiple different processes on parts,
Hmm.
where it's painting and printing and lacquering and all sorts of stuff, it gets really hard to do here at an affordable price. And, I don't know what the solution is to that, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking for myself, I just wanted to have something to give. And I hope what's fun about the game is less the printing on the leaves and more the way the tree looks and the play of it, because that is the same.
Yeah.
But I can't help but feel the Made in America version just feels a little bit more like the prototype of the game that I originally made versus the final version, which I think turned out to be very high quality.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And I did notice that it's aesthetically just a little bit different. The version printed overseas versus the one printed here in the United States. But it would be nice. It's just nice to see that you have like an all-American version, just to show
Mhm.
that you're going down that road and making some inroads. And yes, someone that's doing a game with very complex miniatures and stuff, that might be a little bit more difficult. But it's good to see it start somewhere, and it would be nice if other um, game manufacturers were able to do something, even if they did sort of what you did, have a two versions, the overseas
Mhm.
and the made in American. The made in American versions are going to be a little bit more expensive and it might look a little bit differently. But I mean, that's now. Things would change over time. As more and more um, companies did it, you would hope that prices would come down and aesthetics would sort of equalize with what they are overseas. So, but it was just something that I noticed, and it was I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad I'm able to do it. And that comes from my toy background too. I've done laser cutting almost my whole career as well. So I have a very good knowledge of the cost of it, where to get the materials. So I knew I could do it here. And in fact, I could have done it here since, day one, but really to get that printing on it and stuff, really it took it to a level that I felt like it looked and felt like a final product. And I've taken this to some toy conventions
Uh-huh.
where like industry conventions, and I've
Sure.
shown both versions, and most people, similar to what you're saying, they appreciate that I'm making the attempt, but when
Hmm.
they see two side by side, they want to sell the Chinese version to their customers because that's the one that is better. It's the better product, but
Yeah, it's got
you know.
the leaves, and yeah, it looks it looks more finished.
Mhm.
What was sort of your um biggest surprise in your kind of your journey from concept to creation?
Um, you know, okay, I hope this doesn't sound bizarre, but since I started this, since I made the first prototype, I have been trying desperately to not do this project because when you self-fund something, it costs a lot of money. So part of that answer is you start to see the money you have to spend to get your first 1,000 kits or your sample, and then the shipping on your sample, and then the wire transfer fees, and all the things that, I have some background with my career,
Hmm.
but you just don't, when you start adding everything up and you realize how expensive it is to self-publish a game.
Hmm.
I've been telling myself at every checkpoint when I show a prototype to somebody or bring it to an industry event, I'm waiting for people to be like, okay, well, it's too much like this other game or too much like Jenga or this or that. And thankfully, as I've taken it to more and more shows, um, the feedback I've gotten has been very positive. So
Hmm.
what surprised me the most was the feedback I got from it, that this thing
Okay.
I have here is different in some way, whether it's the table presence of it or how it's played, or I'm not even sure. But as people continue to see it, it's treated a little differently than maybe the people in the booths next to me at some of these shows, as
Yeah.
far as like the crowd it brings and stuff. So I feel like I'm onto something. But, there are many, many steps between having a good idea and actually getting it out into the world and
Mm.
having it be successful. So, for as much as I've tried to to stop doing this project, what surprised me is the reaction's been so good at every event I go to that I just keep investing money and moving forward with it, which is what you should do, I think, when you have something that
Sure.
people like. But when it comes out of your own pocket, it's tough to send big chunks of money around.
Yeah. So no Kickstarter for you?
No, I did a Kickstarter last summer and essentially debuted it at Origins.
Hmm.
I didn't get a single order or pledge from anybody outside of my own friend group. Because
Wow.
and actually the head of games at Kickstarter came by at Origins to ask if I was doing one, and I told her I did, and it failed miserably. And she said,
Wow.
"Oh, well, at any one time there's up to 50,000 games live on Kickstarter, and
Yeah.
unless you have like a marketing list to hit, it's really hard to get out there." So she told me she'd scrub the entire history of this game being on Kickstarter and then relaunch it under like a staff favorite, which
Hmm.
might help, find strangers.
Sure.
But really was just I didn't have any connections to anybody. I didn't have any marketing outlets. So when it went live, I was just hoping maybe it would move up the ranks, get on the front page or something, and it didn't. So it didn't go anywhere. But
Wow.
at that point, I'd kind of committed to self-funding it anyway, which I started very small. I only ordered 250 of the first batch to see how it went. So there was a way I could still do it, but
Mhm.
yeah, the whole Kickstarter route, I learned a lot because I spent a lot of time creating the Kickstarter, and then it just went nowhere.
Wow. It just proof that something that doesn't do well on Kickstarter really has nothing to do with how good the game is. It's just like you just weren't seen in the noise of the 50,000 other games because your game is popular. I mean, on your website, uh, your overseas version is sold out.
Hmm.
When I saw you on Origins on the second day, I think Saturday, and your stock was already gone.
I
So
sold out on Saturday, so the last day I had to just hand out coupons to anybody to order after the fact, which is why I then sold out everything in my warehouse, which wasn't a lot at the time, but
because
yeah, I mean, I sold everything I had at Origins.
it
So
was
yeah,
interesting.
when people see this, that's another example of like, I mean, at this point I'm committed to it, but
Yeah,
I go to a show like Origins and sell out of every single one I bring, and people really enjoy playing it with me. It's like these are the things that keep me going because,
yeah,
I don't have experience in the game industry. I'm self-publishing, and to have those things happen drives me to move forward with it.
yeah. And it was interesting because it's a lot of people at these at Origins and other conventions. They just have piles and piles of stock behind them. When I walked by your booth, it was one of the reasons I stopped was you like had an empty table behind you. and then you had like this cool looking game like in front of you. And
Hmm.
that's because I mean, by the time I got there, you just sold out of everything.
Hmm.
So it's a very interesting. You're going through the game publishing journey um, in a very unique way from a lot of other people, probably because you have a very unique game from a typical unfold a cardboard board and put on the pieces and things like that.
Hmm.
Well, what's next? Or are you immediately thinking when I ask that question, geez, give me a break?
Well, what's funny is I've talked to some distributors, some bigger ones, like ACD is an example, and they
Okay,
said, we don't take just individual games. If you come back with 5 games that you've published, we'll probably pick them all up. So
that's weird. What? Okay,
it's
yeah,
just
whatever.
I think the amount of time it takes to
I guess.
onboard and manage just one small game. I don't know. It's just how they do their business, which is fine.
Yeah.
But and then everybody's like, well, what if you did different color leaves, like a fall version, or what if you could hang apples from it? And I have all these ideas on how to gamify it. Oh, you roll a dice and you have to put 2 apples on that are metallic, so they weigh a lot, or so. There's just a million different ideas that would also
Mhm.
help me grow the line of it's
Yeah.
like an offshoots expansion packs and fall version and all these things, which would
Yeah.
allow me to get into maybe some of these distributors. But I just want to focus on growing what I have right now
Hmm.
because it's a game that I think has potential and a more mass market appeal. So I just need to get it out there. I mean, speaking with people like you and going to these trade shows like Origins, I want people to see it and play it and buy it and tell their friends about it. And I think that's the way I'm going to grow this, hopefully, the way I'm going to grow this game into something that, my dream would be it's a household name the way Jenga is. And I've made the parts at a quality where hopefully their offshoot set will last them 20 years, the way
Hmm.
my Jenga set I had as a kid is still at my parents' house. So, I wanted to follow that route and as many ideas as I have to grow different concepts around it. I want to just see where this one game can go. Maybe that's the whole theme is like everything is very simple for me. The game is simple,
Yeah.
the rules are simple, and my business plan is simple so
And,
far.
and your website is extremely easy to navigate.
It's just 2 products right now.
Right, right. Which is, I mean, that's great. And yeah, I prefer to do one thing well instead of spreading out and doing a bunch of stuff. But best of luck to you in the future and in getting this game out and hopefully getting some publishers that can realize, well, maybe if we support one good product, we don't need to have someone come to us with five.
Mhm.
Uh, how can people find you? What's the best way to get in touch with you? You going to be at any shows coming up, or just your website the best way?
So yeah, at this point, I because the game's new, I couldn't get into any other shows like PAX Unplugged and places like that have been booked for years. But
Oh,
website is offshootsgame.com. You can check me out there. And then I should be back at Origins next year if you want to come say hey. I'll try to bring twice as much stuff as I did last time.
well, I'll try to get there earlier. Okay, well, awesome. It was great talking to you. I'm going to put your details down in the description of this video, and hopefully people will come and check it out. You guys got to check out this game just to go to his website and look at it. On a table. It's just gorgeous. I'm going to try to put up as many pictures in this video that I can of just how it looks on a table. Truly unique game. From a great guy who's doing it the right way.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we will see you next time on Inside Board Games.